everyone. Thanks for coming on The Show Must Go On line. Today's guest is Chelsey Hill. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. I've been in such a better mood since I've gotten this cool B-Way Show logo, and I've got my new B-Way Show illustration. Like, you're awesome.
Well, thank you. It was a very fun project.
I'm so happy to hear that. I feel like, I don't know how much you get this, but, you have an idea in your head, but you don't know the specifics of the idea in your head until you see something, right? And so what's kind of like that process like usually?
You mean from when a client contacts me and asks for work? I mean, the more specific, the better, because then I'm able to give them what they want. But if they're really struggling with it, it just takes longer to map it out. I mean, it can get done. It just adds to the process. You were great. I mean, you had it already traced out. Like, you knew what you wanted.
True. Yeah, that was a fun process for anyone watching who like saw the early on versions. I had originally just like sketched it out on a piece of paper, and I was like, I'm going to use this and send it to someone to like do professionally. And then a few of my friends were like, wait, I really like that it's your own handwriting and that it kind of like gives that personal flair. So then I had a few other friends who kind of helped to like, make it into a PNG, because I don't know all the like technical aspects. And I was like, oh, this is so fun. Like, I love having my own thing. And then quarantine hit, and it's like, you know what? Maybe it's time to like shake things up and make it like upgrade a notch. So it was really cool to like see your work and be like, Chelsey is the person for the job.
Well, thank you.
Yes. Well, and thank you. So I always like to start these with asking, what is your origin story? What made you want to start doing illustration? And you always have such fabulous outfits. I feel like there's so many. Yes. Oh my goodness.
Well, I kind of found illustration. It wasn't anything I was trained in. My background is in musical theater and as a performer. And that's why I moved to the city, was to pursue that. And along the way, I started drawing just as a way to be creative and kind of like have an outlet for the stresses of being in the city, and loved it and was doing it constantly, and people started paying me for it. And I fell in love with it and liked it more than I ever liked musical theater.
Wow.
Natural progression, which is a lot of my work is musical theater based, or I draw performers or singers, and that's kind of a nod to my background. So I still feel like I'm able to keep the performing in my life through that.
Yeah. Just like sometimes you're like, wait, is it this side, this side?
I know, I don't know where to look. Am I looking at you?
Yeah, right. This right behind me is one of your illustrations of the I'll Drink to That from Sondheim's 90th birthday.
Oh, I see it. Absolutely. You got a ton of cool.
It's so cool. I love having that like right there to look at, because that was such an epic moment of these three fabulous ladies with their nice, sometimes chalices or other fun drinkware. And so something like that, where it's just like something blows up as an image, and then you're like, ooh, I need to do this.
Oh, I watched it and I instantly thought, I'm like, I need to draw this. It has three glamorous ladies, and I'm kind of known for drawing glamorous ladies. I love Elaine Stritch, so that was a signature Elaine Stritch song. I don't know, I just knew. Like, I watched it, I screamed when it came on, and then I said, I need to draw this.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, that's such a funny experience of watching that as well, because it was like it was delayed, like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and nothing, who stays up that late except if it's for Sondheim's 90th birthday celebration.
Like, musical theater people will.
Yeah, exactly. And I love that. I loved watching that so much, and it was so fun to see that. And now, so your process, I feel like, has even like changed between like you making your own tote bags, because I have that the Ruth Bader Ginsburg ones, and then now you have this. So how did that evolve?
I mean, from changing from doing it myself to having like TeePublic do it?
Yeah.
I just found it. I had a friend recommend it, and then one of their people, I don't know if it was a designer, reached out to me and said that you should upload your artwork here and sell it. So it was I like it because people are able to get what they want. It offers a lot more than I could as a small like vendor. Yeah, I mean, you can get it on shirts, stickers, laptop cases, like stuff I wouldn't even like dream about putting it on. So yeah, I like that there are so many options using that site. It makes my life easier, and I'm able to upload more and do more art.
Right. I feel like that brings up a good point of like having your own business, is that a lot of creatives who do the artwork don't always have that like mindset of, well, how does the business work? How does the sausage get made? Right. Like, so this adds that element of, I can just focus on the artwork, and I can
time. Because if with the business, I mean, so much of my time was spent shipping stuff and releasing it and waiting for stuff to come to me that it took up a ton of time. So I was really only able to like release a couple pieces like once every few months. Where this is just instant. I can see what it looks like. They can send me examples. It's just quicker.
Wow. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah. If y'all haven't checked it out, is there like is it like teepublic.com/illustrating diva?
Yeah, you can find it through my Instagram profile on Linktree. I have a link to it.
Ooh, awesome. Perfect. So, okay, let's also go into your original like coffee hooker and now illustrating diva.
So coffee hooker came when I first moved to the city. They're my initials. And I actually came up with the name when I was 12 because I love coffee. And nothing to do with illustration. It's just what I call myself. And then it turned into I would draw myself, and then the name of that character was Coffee Hooker. And then once I started getting more clientele, specifically within the arts, I was like, I should kind of mainstream my name a little bit. I still own Coffee Hooker. I trademarked it, but just to make to make it more, I don't want to say generic, but just more universal. Like it's not so specific. Yeah. And with Illustrating Diva, like it's a nod to music, and then you have the illustrating part in it, so people know instantly what I do, as opposed to coffee hooker. Is she a hooker? Does she like coffee? Like, what is she?
The possibilities are endless.
You know what I mean? It's more brand friendly, especially if I'm selling to like older people or like little kids. They're gonna be like, "Where'd you get that, coffee hooker?" So just I love it.
It's such a nice like homage to, like, I agree that sometimes you have to like put the slightly fun thing away in like the back part so that you can have a more personalized experience to some of the clientele, like you're saying, but also that your friends know that, you know, the roots are there, that the
she started it all, you know, and it's less, I don't want to say embarrassing because I was never embarrassed by it, but when people tag me in it, they're like, "Thank you, Coffee Hooker, for this gorgeous illustration." It's like Illustrating Diva just seems a little bit more, it has a broader palette, you know?
Yes, I understand that very much. Even like B-Way show, like I remember when I was trying to create like, well, what's a good like Shoshana thing? Well, show, there's like the double entendre with shows on Broadway, so like that works. And just trying to create this name took so much time. I just like remember sitting in my apartment at the time last year and being like, and just like writing down all these different possibilities, like Broadway's Greatest Show and Broadway Show. Oh no, that's taken on Twitter. And like even something as silly as that, as Broadway Show, SHO, was taken on Twitter. So I'm like, well, maybe if I shorten it, oh, B-Way Show's open. I guess that's my name now.
Mm-hmm. It's perfect though. I mean, I love that you incorporate show into everything. It's like it's brilliant. And I mean, what a great chance that your name is Shoshana, you know? Like it worked out.
Yes. Thank you. I'm glad. Yes, my Hebrew name, Shoshana, means rose, in case if you didn't know. And I wear a lot of flowers. I don't know if you can tell because this is a, you know, the image, you don't see all of, you know, the look, but I wear a lot of flower dresses. I used to wear flowers in my hair, and I'm starting to think it could be fun to bring that back.
Bring it back.
Bring it back. And I see Eva's here saying hi. Everyone, if you're watching live, please comment, ask questions, say, hey, we love to hear from you. If you're watching this later, thanks for joining us whenever you're watching. It's so cool. So let's talk about during the pandemic, like so many things change. A lot of people are going different places, and like, you know, the arts aspect, the working at the Met or seeing a show live, that's taken out. But the illustration aspect, you can do anywhere. So how has that kind of affected you?
Illustration wise, I've been able to take on more. So I've actually been able to illustrate more. I was a dresser at the Metropolitan Opera. So when I was there, I was limited in my time in terms of what commissions I could take on. So here, I mean, I was able to launch a TeePublic shop during the 4 months. I was able to, I think I did like 20 portrait commissions.
Wow.
Just the sheer scale of how many illustration works I could take on. And also for me to see, oh, I could potentially do this full time without, I mean, I like being around people. I like being around performers. I feel like that inspires my work. But seeing that I could do illustration full time if needed. At least that's what I've taken away thus far from the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, that's good, right? Like there are these like little gems of like this bad thing happened to all of us, and we're all trying to like accommodate. And sometimes there's like, you know, when you're forced to reassess situations, you're like, oh, maybe I could find a lasting thing with this. So that's cool to hear.
Yeah, and or just having the time to like grow the business, because what else am I going to do besides sit around? So just seeing what that takes and like what works, what doesn't work. I've had more time to figure that out.
Yeah. And I want to get back to what you said earlier about that you were a performer and then you started drawing. Like, do you have any formal training in drawing, or it's just natural?
No. I mean, I always doodled when I was little. I come from, like, my family's full of visual artists. My grandfather was an art teacher in Nebraska, and then my dad was a cartoonist. So I grew up around it. I would say the only type of formal training I had was I took costume design in college, and so doing renderings and learning under studying that from a teacher. But no, my life was musical theater up until about 4 years ago when I did the switch.
Wow. So tell me more about that musical theater journey.
Just I got a degree in it, moved to the city and tried it and hated it. I mean, I love musical theater. For me, it wasn't the lifestyle that worked for me. I think it's cool having the illustration because I'm able to, I don't know, still keep that like a big part of my life. I do love it. It's just different. It's not performative. It's visual. I'm able to do something that's on the visual end of it. Yeah.
No, that's such an interesting point, because I feel like, you know, the dream of being on Broadway is such a dream for so many people. And for those that it works out for, that's amazing. That's glorious. And if it doesn't work out and you don't have a plan B or something else you're passionate about, that could be like something that weighs on you. And it's cool to hear that you have this other part of you that's also very fulfilling.
I love it even more, through one like love, I found my true passion for the arts, and I don't think had I not had musical theater, I wouldn't have found that with illustration.
Wow. Right. Sometimes you need to go through that journey to see what you like and what you don't like. It's like, I remember when I was looking at colleges, they would say, go look at all the ones that you think you might be interested in and make like that pros and cons list, because you might like something more or less. And then, when you see something that does fit right, that it's like, oh yeah, this actually connects.
Yeah. It's an aha moment. There's no other way for me to describe it. It was like, oh my gosh, I love this. I wanted to do it constantly. I only thought about that one thing, and I never had that with musical theater, or at least not in the same intensity.
Yeah. And you have such a niche gift with this illustration work.
Well, thank you.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean it's cool too because yeah. No, please you go.
Oh, I would say, I mean, my passions are so niche that I think it's cool that people are willing to buy such like a niche, like type of illustration. I don't want to say genre, but my illustration work, it is, it's not commercial. I mean, aspects of it are, but in terms of like my subject matter, it isn't. So I think that's cool that there's a market for it. Like never, it was a nice surprise.
That's amazing. Do you have one in particular that's your favorite?
Piece that I've done.
Mm-hmm.
I think I have several that are special. I just did a logo for the Met Opera Chorus, so that's up there.
Mm-hmm.
Anything like drawing for music organizations, Baltimore Music House, I did like a really cool collage of women composers and lyricists. The Boulanger Initiative, I'm working with them, and they promote female composers, so that's really cool.
Nice.
By Vinnick. Oh my goodness, there's the designer who was an opera singer who's incredible, and her name is Suzanne Vinnick. So I draw for her, and shout out to Suzanne. Her clothing line is by Vinnick, so she does these like I'm actually wearing one of her pieces.
Oh wow.
They're just like loud, fun, colorful, performative pieces.
That's awesome. That's so cool that you get to work with a lot of people that you also are inspired by.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I just posted this photo yesterday that you did of that 100 days of. Tell me about what that whole 100 days of illustration were and like how you thought of doing one for me because that was such a fun surprise.
Well, thank you. No, it's just a personal project I started a year ago. There's an international art movement, something where you do 100 days of creative work and it can be whatever you want it to be. So for me, I was like, let me do a nod to different New York characters, and so I did one every day for 100 days. And you were so New York, and you gotta be one of them. And it was an illustration of the person and like 6 fun things about them. And so it was also a way for I'm from Nebraska, like my friends and family to kind of see the people that you see every day as a New Yorker, that is something you wouldn't see in the Midwest.
Oh yeah, that's such a cool added element to it that I was thinking like, oh, someone who's living in New York doing this about fellow New Yorkers, but also with that added element of family from out of state and especially like the Midwest, which is so different. That's
very
such
different.
nice. Yeah. So how has that been being back there? And I think you're back in New York now.
I mean, it was during a pandemic, so I couldn't do much, so I didn't really see my friends or just was stuck in my sister's old room. It's nice to be back in New York, even though it's still waking up and still kind of on lockdown. Just to be in my city. I love the city. So much of it inspires what I draw. So it's nice to be reconnected to that. I lost that when I was in Nebraska.
Right. Even if you can't really go out that much, there must be something nice about just looking out the window.
Yeah. Or even just walking outside. I mean, you walk around Nebraska, it's a neighborhood. Yeah, you don't really people don't cross the streets there. People think you're weird for walking around. It's just different.
Yeah. Well, I get that. I mean, I'm currently in Washington State and it's very different. And, I'm very fortunate because I have like a backyard and I have a dog here and I have this beautiful like little cabin, which is great. But it's also like, I keep thinking when I do go back to New York, it's going to be so odd to like see a bunch of humans.
Yeah.
Does that like, because you did experience like the small town life for a little while again, going back home, and now you're back in New York, even though it's still in the pandemic, was there like a weird, I'm trying to even think of the right way to phrase this. Like, did it take some like adjusting time?
No, it did. I'm really, initially you're in shock too, because I had lost my job overnight at the Met. So it's more kind of thinking like long term, what does this look like? And no one had any idea. and we still kind of don't. So kind of the being out of my element, being out of my space, and being back home, for the first time in 6 years. Like, I'd visit like during holidays, but I was home. That's an adjustment too.
Yes, and I'm sorry about the job. It's so devastating what's happening in the arts right now.
Mm-hmm.
Are there, for other people who love the arts but might not be like in the arts, how has this experience opened your eyes even more and that you want to like share to them?
Just how many people work in the industry. I don't think people realize like it's more than just performers. Like we're talking, musicians, pit players, people who do like scenic design, stagehands, dressers, costume designers. Like it's a huge industry, and for New York, it's a lot of New York's money comes from the arts. So I think the ripple effect people don't quite understand yet. At least in Nebraska, like my friends didn't; they have no idea. Yeah, I think it takes like someone in the industry to understand like what this means and just how uncertain the future is for our industry. Because we were the first to lose our jobs, and then we're going to be the last ones to get them back.
And it's so frustrating when people like look down upon the arts because what are you turning to, especially right now?
The arts. I mean, you're watching film and like Disney with Hamilton. Like that's awesome. I'm glad that they're doing that because then the Met was doing live streaming. Right. It puts what we do like in people's homes.
Mm-hmm. What is it like to be a dresser?
I love it. It is I mean, you gotta think on your feet. Or at least at the Met, we rehearse shows in the morning and then we do different shows in the evening. So it's just like the sheer amount of costumes you're working with every week, the different tracks you have to learn. I like that. I like being on my feet. I like interacting with performers. I like the energy backstage. Like I like everything about it. I love clothes. And just seeing like the beautiful costumes, working with them, the different like the genres that you're working with, the different costumes. So, like you have like modern shows, you have shows that are based in like in the Edwardian period, like the Renaissance. Just it's cool. Like for me, it's so. I like the variety. I like being on my toes. I mean, and live theater stuff comes up, and so it's like being able to think quickly and fix the problem. Like I love that.
Yeah. Does it inspire different outfits that then you get for yourself?
No, but it inspires what I draw. Like I am pretty set in my style. Like I know if I like something, if I don't. But it's been fun to be inspired to draw the types of costumes I'm seeing.
Wow. Yeah, I feel like probably the more lavish the outfit, the more fun it is to draw.
Oh, absolutely. And like put them in like absurd situations. Like there has to be some like underlining humor.
How do you add those, like the flashing lights that you did for my B-Way Show logo?
Oh, it's in my program. I draw with Procreate, which is an iPad program. So they have different features, and one of them is luminance, so you can add glitter, like light features. It's cool.
Wow. Yeah, that was so cool when you sent me that, and I was like, ooh, like and you just get so excited because you're not expecting like this extra element. And I posted it. I have my like show Treons. They're the B-Way Show Patreon, amazing humans that support me. And I posted that in our like private group, and everyone's like, oh my God, that's so cool. I'm like, I know.
No, I do. I love adding glitter to everything I draw. Like the textures of the clothes, like I use a lot of that. Just it's extra glitz, extra glam.
Who doesn't love a glam
up? Like a 2D piece, like it kind of gives an element of 3D-ness.
That's an interesting point you're adding, that it doesn't make it feel like it's just like flat on the screen or on the page. Yeah. Nice. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, did you see Lin-Manuel and the In the Heights crew?
They filmed it like right on my corner. So there's he does, I can't remember the name of the dance. Is it Piragua? Is that how you say it?
Piragua? that he's
Yes.
a piragua? Yes.
On my corner, and I was walking by, and it's like this guy with his cart, and it was him. And I'm like walking into my building, and then they filmed right. They built the set on my corner. I think they were there for 3 months. They put the strobe lights on my roof during the blackout scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
we were in that film. It was cool.
Wow, I walked by that twice, and I actually
I
did
remember.
get to see him. Yeah, that was so cool. And I kind of love walking around that area because it's like it's chill. There's some nice like little coffee shops that you can grab coffee. I feel you on the the love of coffee. Friends have often like teased me about like, oh, have you had your coffee? Oh, how many coffees have you had today? Like I drink an absurd amount of coffee. I love it so much. Like a good local coffee shop
is the best.
It fills me with so much joy.
Oh yeah, like I love walking to the coffee shop. I like ordering the coffee. I call it $5 of happiness. I mean, in New York, it's more like $7 if you get like the add-ons.
Right. It is so true though. Like there are certain things that like, you can make at home or you can do by yourself. But when you go out, like it's almost an experience every day. And it's not just about the product. It is like this fun journey. And then you like walk around with it. And like every sip, it's like, oh.
Great. No, I completely get you. Like I like how coffee shops look. I like how the people in the coffee shops look. I like the art on the wall. Yes. I like walking to it. It wakes me up. The walk gets my brain going. Yes. Totally. For me, it's a routine thing. I will work for my coffee habit.
I'm glad to finally have someone that shares my passion for coffee and that understands that it's more about just the coffee.
Yeah.
So do you have any favorite ones in the Washington Heights area?
When I left Forever Coffee, I hope it's still there. It was on like 181st Broadway. Really cute. Loved it. So that was cool. I mean, there's Starbucks is convenient. It's right there. But if you are willing to walk a little further, Kazo Coffee, it's at 157th and Broadway. That's awesome.
Nice. Yeah, I love going to that coffee shop with all the dogs and the cats and it's so much fun. And then you go look over the GWB. I feel like I'm in a Lin-Manuel Miranda musical when I'm getting my coffee and walking to the bridge.
No, I get that.
It's a good touch. It's a good touch. So you brought up Hamilton. Did you watch it?
Yes.
What'd you think?
I mean, it's fabulous. It's Hamilton. I appreciate it for what it did. I'm definitely like more of an opera lady. Like I like more like classical musical theater, but Hamilton is history. Yeah. The costumes are fabulous. Like for me, I always notice the costumes before anything else. So just like the suits, like someone posted a picture with like dressers like prepping the suits. So just kind of a nod to the people behind the stage or behind the scenes for these productions.
Yeah. Actually, it's funny you should mention that too, because I did an interview at the Richard Rodgers with Kimmy, who's one of the dressers for Hamilton, and she's fabulous and also is like a very big proponent of this freedom farm for these adorable animals in New Jersey, and it gives them like a new life. And it's so cool. And so I interviewed her, and then I also like went to the farm and volunteered. And it's so cool how like a love of something on Broadway or something that like relates to what you love can then also expand to like volunteering and to other passions.
Yeah. That's amazing. It's called Freedom Farm?
Yeah, it's the New Jersey Freedom Farm. I believe that's yeah. And they're awesome. And it's so cool too because they have so many different types of pets, and they have like, the dogs and cats and whatnot that are their pets. And then there's also like cows and sheep and pigs, and we threw a pumpkin that like opened, and then the pigs ate the pumpkin. It was so cool.
Awesome.
Who would have thought I never thought that I would be throwing pumpkins or smashing pumpkins. Yes. I see Dr. Drama said, love the art you did for SHO. It's so bright.
I like, what can I say? My personal style is a cross between Chanel and a clown. Like, it has to have color.
Yes. Yeah. And it was so much fun. I want to go a little more into that, the process that we spoke about earlier, because, you know, like I sent you the picture from me at the Tonys, and like that night you had an illustration for me. That was bonkers.
Oh, thank you. Well, I didn't have any commission work for the next 2 days, so I had that. That's why that came so quickly.
Very impressive.
Yeah. You were very clear with what you wanted, so for me it was easy to show you something right away, as opposed to me trying to, you know, problem solve and decipher the vision that the client wants. Like, you knew.
Right. Yeah, it was so fun, and like even the curls like going in and out, and
I love drawing hair. And you have like really awesome hair to draw.
Thank you. Do love
Come
my
on,
hair.
yeah.
Brazilian Jewish curls. Is there like a favorite part of the process? Is it the hair? Is it the sparkle? Like, what's your favorite part?
I mean, every commission's so different. My favorite part is just the final product. It's getting to that final composition. So for you, I like drawing your hair. For someone else, it could be I really like drawing that skirt, or like different poses. I think it's just every piece, there's a different thing I like about it.
Yeah. That's a good point, because sometimes it's like it's fun to see the process, and even like when we were saying like, oh, maybe the B-Way show should be a little thicker, or that we should there be 2 different colors in the logo. Like it's cool to think that there was an idea and we saw like a few different versions of it, and then it's like when it sticks to the landing, when you see it and you're like, ah, yes, this is it.
You just know. It's like an aha.
Aha, yes indeed. And so are there any like tips or tricks that you would like to share with maybe upcoming illustrators and artists that look at your work and say, ooh, she's got it?
I would say don't try and imitate anybody else. Authenticity and like finding your voice is so important, because that makes you unique. I would say don't try and draw things for the sake of getting other people to like them. At least that's the advice I would give my younger self starting out. Like, draw what you like to draw, and then you'll find your clients. They'll find you.
True.
And put it on social media. Make sure you do that.
Is that a big thing for you?
Huge. Oh my gosh. All my clients find me online. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy how social media has its negative parts, but it's also great for showing like what you do.
Yeah.
I certainly find the same thing. I mean, I'm a video reporter and photographer. Like, sharing the work that I do would be not nearly as possible without social media. So yes, and all of that advice that you gave is such good advice to give to your younger self. That's probably the best way to phrase it, because there's so many thoughts when you're working yourself up in this industry, in any industry really, is like, well, I should be doing this, or I should do that because someone else did that and they were successful. But it's so important to like do what's true for you.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's what gives you your unique voice. Even as a performer, it's not imitating someone who you sound like, or who in college, like they said, this is your type. It's creating that your own path and your own product, your product. Like what's unique about you. Like that's what's gonna get you those jobs. That's what gets me my illustration work.
Yeah. Do you find that, is it a combination of people reaching out to you and you pitching an idea to someone?
I don't really pitch ideas. It's mostly people reaching out, or if I pitch ideas, it's more in person. It's never like online.
Mm.
So it's either like in my co-working space or, with a group of friends who happen to be in theater. Like that's when I'll pitch something. There has to be more of a personal connection for me at this point.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So what do you do just kind of like for fun and to relax?
Thrifting and coffee. Drinking coffee, buying shoes, wearing them out. Like that's what I do to relax.
I love that. Oh, so what's your coffee order?
It depends on where I'm at. I'm really into it. Has to be iced. Like cold brews, any type of cold brew.
Mm.
Like I'm stupid. I'll get like the oat milk or like the stupid syrup that no one's heard of.
Yeah.
Turmeric, like lavender, Brooklyn mint, like something. You know what I mean? Like I'll try whatever the signature drink is.
Yes.
Iced.
Chelsey.
Like I feel like when I say order, I'm. It's just like I would hate me.
Why are we so similar in that?
Just surprise me with something weird.
I know. I always want to try like the weird thing, whether it's the lavender, the pumpkin, or the rose. And my boyfriend and I went to Puerto Rico, and they had this like cute little cafe, and I asked for like a something different every day, and then by like the third or fourth day, because we're in this like very small area of Puerto Rico, she was like, hey, we were just coming up with this idea. How would you like to try this? And I'm like, great. And they like brought out this like random concoction of an iced coffee, and then they like blended it. It was so good. And I appreciated so much that someone else appreciated my weird taste in coffee and wanted to like play with it.
For me, it's like, do I even like coffee? Do I just like the shit they put in it? Oops. Sorry.
It's so true. It's so true. Fun fact. Okay, so there was a place in Maryland when I used to work over at Comcast Sportsnet. I'm like, where did I work? There was a place down the street that they would take their iced lattes and they would shake it in like like a fancy shaker like you would do for a cocktail. And it was so good that I bought myself this rainbow shaker, and I've been doing that in my iced coffee.
That's awesome.
Let me just tell you, if you find yourself not able to go out for coffee, that's a fun little trick.
Cool. I've been really into this company called Copper Cow. Have you heard of them?
No, tell me more.
They're individual. It's run by women. It's a Vietnamese pour over coffee, and it's like the packaging is biodegradable. It's like shelf stabilized because they use condensed milk. It's cool.
What? Okay, wait. Say the name again.
It's called Copper Cow.
Cool.
And it's based out of California. Yeah, I'm like a big fan of them.
Now I'm 100% gonna check that out. I love Vietnamese coffee.
Yeah. It's cool.
I appreciate when these conversations go into like coffee talk or whatnot.
It's important. People drink coffee.
It is important. People don't talk about coffee enough.
They don't. It's such like a part of, I feel like, millennial culture.
Yes, I agree. And it is funny too, because some people will like tease you about the oat milk or whatnot. Let me just say, oat milk is the jam.
It's delicious. So good.
It's so good. And out here in Washington, they sell it in like big cartons, like they do with almond milk. And I'm like, New York, come on.
Because I was just at Costco today and they didn't have it. We looked.
Ugh. Struggle.
For the bundle, the bulk.
Yeah. I know. It's one of those things like I would much prefer to spend an extra $1 or whatnot to get it, or sometimes like 2 or 3 for these like little things. But it's like, I don't know. I think life is too short not to enjoy things that truly do bring you joy.
Absolutely. It's too short and you only live one life.
Yes.
Drink the coffee. Drink the $7 coffee.
That's a good slogan. You only live once. Drink the $7 coffee. Yes.
That'd be like my life motto.
Yes. If you do an illustration of that, I will share it, just so you know.
Cool.
Yeah.
It's a plan.
So I mentioned before that I always like to bring up any nonprofits or charities. Are there any that you specifically would want people to make sure to know about?
Yes, the Artist Co-op. So all New Yorkers who are artists should know about this place.
Mm-hmm.
It's a co-working space for artists in the city, and unfortunately, we just lost our space because of the pandemic. But the organization still exists, and they're going to reopen once they're able to. And if it's affordable and it's awesome, and that's my nonprofit that I want everybody to know about.
I'm
the
so
Artist
glad.
Co-op.
The Artist Co-op. Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. I think we actually saw each other there because Yakov was hosting an event.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, Yakov.
That's where I met him. That's where I met all like awesome. And so you'll meet people there. Like it's a fabulous place to network.
Yeah. Right. People, I feel like we don't talk enough about that. The networking that's not networking, like you just have similar interests and you love being in the theater industry as a general statement. So then you all go together and then you never that's how we met.
Yeah. The Entertainment Collective from the Artist Co-op.
Right.
Look at that.
Both great things.
Yeah.
Have you been keeping in touch with other artists during this time?
Yeah, quite a few. There've been like a lot of Zoom like readings, play stuff that I'll watch. I mean, Zoom happy hour with people. Even with the Artist Co-op, they just celebrated their birthday and we had like 60 people on a Zoom call.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds unwieldy though.
Like all coming in and out, not all at once, you know. It's like people popping in.
Okay, good. Yeah, I've noticed that when they reach like, even if it's like over 10 sometimes, that just becomes a lot.
Oh yeah, whenever someone talks, they pop up. It's like no one say anything.
Right. And with this time delay that like we're even experiencing right now, then you talk over one another and then you're like, oh no, what? Sorry.
Frozen. It's like strobe lighting for Zoom.
So true. So true. These little things that, 4 months ago, I don't even know what month are we in. We're in July. Oof. Wow. It's been a while. What is time?
I mean, now it's like a blur. It's like one giant month.
Yeah.
I know.
Like we do pizza Sunday because it's like it's nice to have a little something that you can like look forward to every Sunday. And then it's like, oh my God, it's Sunday already.
I know. It's I don't know if it's going slower or if it's speeding up. Like I think it's week by week.
That's true.
You know?
Yeah, March kind of lasted 800 years. Especially with the uncertainty that kind of added to it because, how did you find out that like everything was closing?
I had a call on March 3rd. It was 12th, March 12th. And like 3 hours before, I guess it was like everything shut down. So Broadway show shut down, the Met shut down. So then I got an email from my supervisor saying everything's canceled until further notice. Because initially it was 2 weeks, and then it became the entire season.
Right.
So then I immediately flew home, and then stayed there until a week ago.
Yeah, it was so tough. I think it's obviously tough now with this prolonged thing, but it's also slightly easier not having to think, well, is it going to come back in 2 weeks, in a month, in 2 months? Like it was kind of frustrating no, right? Like no one knew what to do. It's not like we're blaming anyone, but it was just like there's no way it's coming back June 12th or 13th.
No. They just had to say something. And like I think we even knew too. It was just more, let's put a date on it, and then like we'll keep extending the date.
Yeah.
But at least let's put a date.
Mm-hmm.
And my phone's about to die, so I'm at 1%.
Well,
I don't
1%.
want to just like
Well, if we lose you before the final goodbye, I just want to say thank you so much. This was so great.
Well, thank you for having me on this. This is cool. I love that you're doing this. It's been fun to watch.
Thanks. It's fun, as you were saying before, like, what else are we going to do in quarantine? This was kind of my way of being like, well, I'm a reporter. I can do these interviews over, Zoom or StreamYard as it is now, and we'll make it work. So it's been fun. And I just want to share to everyone that we have the B-Way Show Patreon. As I mentioned before, we do monthly video chats. So that's super fun. You can find that. Subscribe to this YouTube channel for all the fun. And where can they find you? Oh, we might have lost her. So you can find Chelsey at Illustrating Diva everywhere. Please do. She did this. She did something that I posted today with my new B-Way Show look, and even more coming out next week. So stay tuned. Just you wait. Thanks, y'all. See you at the show.